Welcome to the Stand Up Taller podcast with Neil Berliner and Al Martin.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome on board for, I believe this is episode number 4. But then again, I was never very good at math. It's Al Martin with my co-hosts, Grant Moore and Neil Berliner. And we're going to have a great show today, assorted guests all over the place. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm getting ready for the holiday spirit. I'm all pumped up. How about you, Neil?
Yeah, here it comes. I mean, that song, It's a Wonderful Time of Year. To me, the most wonderful time of year is when they stop playing that goddamn song, It's a Wonderful Time of Year. Can't stand it.
I never could understand it. Like, you would think one station would have the idea, like, everybody is sick of this shit and this music. We don't want to hear this crap anymore. Let's just like play Aerosmith or, some of the hot music, whatever. Aerosmith's probably not the greatest example, but let's play some good music that people want to listen to. Not ho, ho, ho with Mary and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. We know he was a drunken reindeer.
Yep. And I tell you, the last rock Christmas song that I enjoyed was the Waitress's Christmas Wrapping. I kind of like that one.
By the way,
what?
Any comedians listening, I'll get back to them right now with some exciting news about our holiday party is coming back after 2-year hiatus due to COVID, which is ironic because COVID is making a little bit of a comeback, but I really wanted to have a party. We were off for 2 years. So what's the over-under on how many people catch COVID at the Broadway Comedy Club holiday party?
Yeah. So that's Monday, December 19th now, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure. People ask me, are you going to be there? And it's always a lot of fun for me to do the party. I like to stand outside of the club, greet everybody, have a cigar in hand. And basically it's like a watch or a time thing where I light a cigar. When the cigar is out, I get the hell out of there, And but do I really want like 150 people coming up to me and shaking my hands and hugging me and whatever with this whole crap going around?
Well, I think, since you were so generous to have the party and lowered the drink minimum from 2 to 1 for all the guests, maybe they will be happy to come. It'll be great. By the way, let me know the exact date because you're going to include, you call it a holiday party. It's Christmas. I assume you're including Hanukkah and Kwanzaa and all that. Is Hanukkah included as well?
Well, I was going to include Hanukkah, but then I would have had to do a party for 8 days, and the cost would have been a hell of a lot more.
Well, that's a shame because I was thinking I have a contact. I'm friends with Kanye's manager. I thought he could be like the Hanukkah guest of honor for the party this year. Yeah, maybe not. I think he's
maybe bring up Adolf Hitler from Argentina for a guest spot as well.
So I like.
What's going on with Kanye? What is the deal with it?
God. Well, I think you should first call him by his proper name of Ye at this point. He's doing the Diddy route, right? Right, Jason? He's going from Puff Daddy to Diddy Daddy to P Diddy to what's the latest? What's the evolution? You would know this better. You young guys would know the evolution better. What's the evolution of Kanye's name?
Well, they're calling him Ye now.
Yeah.
And I when this whole Kanye Hitler stuff happened, my first thought was, oh my gosh, I have this guy's name tattooed on my arm. I have a Kanye tattoo. Kanye 2020.
Oh my God.
I was like, oh no! We have to get this thing covered up.
Don't play the Hadassah and B'nai B'rith circuit.
Or if I do, I better keep this arm covered.
Yes.
Well, Jason, you have 3 limbs left, so you're good for 3 more name changes.
True.
I mean, Jason, since you were, such a supporter of Kanye, you got him on your arm. Any way we can get him on the show?
You know what? I'll see what I can do. I could definitely use this thing as leverage because he's a big ego guy.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I'll tell you a story. A friend of mine down here, a comedian named Jordan Garnett, big Cowboys fan, he put a Cowboys Super Bowl champion tattoo on his arm like a couple of years ago, and he got national coverage for him. The Cowboys invited him to play at their party and everything. It was like a big media sensation. Of course, they didn't win the Super Bowl, but he did that anyway. Yeah. So anyway, we have some other good news from Grant. We've done, actually it's 5 episodes if you count the Jackie Martling episode as 2. So this is, I believe, the 5th episode. So yeah, we've done 4 already, but we've gotten some astonishing news from Grant. Maybe he should tell us about it because he does all the demographics for this show. Grant, why don't you tell us what's going on with that?
Yeah, I was looking at the numbers, and we're kind of exploding online in almost an unheard of manner. We've gone from, in just 5 episodes, from 0 listeners to about 47 listeners, which is, in this business, that just doesn't happen.
47 listeners.
Yeah, I know. Mostly my doing, I have to say, but really the whole team has just been great.
Wow! Congratulations, guys. Al, has this affected you? Has this changed your life at all yet?
Yes. I think if we work on monetizing this, I might be able to pay for the tip to the valet Parker when he gets my car at a restaurant.
That's good. And you're known to attend restaurants once in a while, aren't you?
Oh yes. Have you been to any good restaurants lately, Neil?
Let's see. Well, I actually was at the Friars Club the other night. Actually, I played the Friars Club in New York City a couple of nights ago. That was pretty cool. They didn't have any food. I think the veal from 2019 that they're going to take out of storage, and once they start serving food again, they'll be serving those leftover dinners. I'm sure they'll still be fine.
I hear they do a great applesauce, don't they?
Veal and applesauce, yeah.
What's the deal with not having this restaurant operating? I mean, I wish somebody would say to me, Al Martin, run the Friars Club, take it over, make it a success. I mean, it's ridiculous. They got a great, well, at least they had a great brand. I don't know what the hell's going on with it now, but you have a brand like the Friars Club. Why isn't that restaurant open yet? It's been. Did you get any insight, Neil, when you were there, why this restaurant is not open already? It's been 2 years, I think.
Well, the thing is, Al, they're going through renovations now, and they're putting in space for the younger comedians to do like a WeWork situation where they could just hang out during the day and do their internet stuff. They can write material, have computers there set up for them.
Starbucks? I mean, really, they have to go to the Friars Club for that?
Well, it's kind of cool. It's a very historic place to hang out in. It's a cool historic place. So,
it doesn't take any money. It takes money to pay the taxes. Takes money to pay the employees. I mean, like what's instead of working on a WeWork space for broke comedians that aren't going to do anything, get the restaurant open. If you promote it through the tourist venues, through the tourist websites, people would love to go to the Friars Club for dinner. I never understood this place.
Well, it's true. Well, the only thing they would have to do in addition, they're kind of some older members. They're known for having some older members at the Friars. So I think they probably should install some new cardiac defibrillators in the restaurant. So in case there's any issues, then immediately you know which corner of the restaurant to go to for your defibrillator.
I believe they sold off the air rights a few years ago at the Friars, so they can't really add to it. But I think maybe take a floor or two and maybe they can monetize it with some mausoleums,
Absolutely. Underground rights. If you can't go up, you go down, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
So let's create some mausoleums over there where, you can get buried for X amount of, how many people would love to get buried at the Friars Club?
Absolutely. We could start with Freddie Roman. Start the Freddie Roman room down there, right?
As a matter of fact, I really think they'll get a very quick return on their investment since 90% of the people who are members now are ready within the next couple of years. They'll be ready for the basement mausoleum. Some of them might already be dead in some of the lounges. Nobody Has anybody checked in the steam room? There goes your membership, Neil.
They have a steam room?
Boy, they have a steam room. They have a gym. They have things that people under 60 have no idea even what they are.
Well,
Like a
listen,
steam room.
I used to go there, and I used to make believe I was working out in the gym. You know, I'd basically get in on the treadmill at 1.0 and talk to other members who are at like 1.5, and we bullshit for about a half an hour, lift some 5-pound weights, then go into the steam room and see whose balls can drag lower.
Well, there's an old rumor that Alan King started that you weren't in the steam room. He thought you were the towel rack, actually, for the guys. But
I used to run into some good comics over there, like Jeff Ross and stuff. I ran into him once in the steam room. It's kind of weird having conversations while you're butt ass naked with somebody you're going to book next Saturday. You know,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, I once did a roast with Jeff at the Friar's roast. It was the Pat Cooper roast, and I said to him, Jeff, you're known as the roast master general, and I'm known as the roast master's genitals.
There you go. I mean, listen, it's a lot. It's a lot of fun. I used to like to go. Like I said, I'd go in the afternoon for a workout, a steam. So you get you. They got a barber there. You get a monthly haircut. The guy shines your shoes. I haven't worn shoes since like the 1980s. Unless you count Skechers, you know. But the poor guy's losing a fortune. Everybody's walking around with Skechers now. And then what was the best part was the happy hour at 5 o'clock. You know, a lot of guys would go down there, have a drink, smoke a cigar. You know, now that's outlawed by New York. You can't do that anymore. You know, then you'd have a nice dinner down in the dining room, and then then I would check in on my clubs and then go back home. You know, but
so let me take inventory here: a shoe shine, a steam, a haircut, cigars. Exactly what 25-year-old broke comedians want to be doing every day, right?
Well,
right.
That's the problem. Stop with these young comedians. You know, you're gonna go broke. You know, Freddie Roman had a great idea, and he wanted to try to make it work, but for some reason, the young comedians of today, they don't have any money to spend, like a workspace. How much money do you think the Friars is going to generate on Is that really what they're doing? They're spending all their time building these workspace for
here's what they're doing. In all seriousness, they are trying to renovate and revitalize geared toward younger comedians. So they're going to try to do that as one thing. They're going to lower dues pretty dramatically. They're going to make it more friendly. They're going to have, by the way, they have thousands of hours of tapes of all the old comedians in their archives, and they're digitalizing them now. And they're going to be playing them on Sirius XM. They're going to have their own podcast. So they're trying to modernize and make it more, user friendly for the younger comedians.
Do they have these comedians, permission to be able to utilize these archives?
I'm not sure of the legalities of that.
It's one thing to have the recording. Do you have written permission to use the recording for commercial purposes? That could turn into a legal boondoggle. I hope they've explored that. But it's a great idea. I like that idea. The whole key, Neil, is to monetize the Friars Club. So even if you want to have this WeWork idea go, you can subsidize that, but you also have to have money-making operations. Revitalize that restaurant. Possibly even develop a comedy club there. I mean, I know it's crazy. I'm talking about a competitor for myself, but they could probably put together a 50-seat room in one of those things where they can be competitive and do some stand-up shows.
Oh, that's where I played the other night. It was, 50, 60-seat room. It's opposite the bar, the Barbra Streisand room.
Yeah, I know.
They have a good setup for having shows. There's no doubt about that.
So I think that would be great if they could do things like that And then in addition, if they do have the permission, monetize the brand. Sirius is one thing. Maybe Netflix would be interested in streaming a series, The Best of the Friars, and have some of the young current comedians,
Absolutely.
and then maybe mix it in with one old clip of the week, But
well, one suggestion I had for the executive committee was to, nationalize the Friars brand, because it's such a famous, iconic brand, and they might be doing things in Florida and California and other places. But I mean, you can't beat the iconic name of the Friars Club.
Right.
You just have to be publicized to younger people.
The problem is if they don't have, if they're not visible enough for a number of years, then the brand fades. Like you and I would remember one of the most iconic, and think still it is, but it's really not. One of the most iconic brands of comedy is Catch a Rising Star. But that was in the 1980s. Does anybody under the age of 30 know what Catch a Rising Star is?
I think you'd have to raise that age to 50.
Yeah.
I mean, but look, these guys, Grant and Jason, are in the business, so they know the names. But, you have to always, whenever you talk about comedy, I think, and recognition, you really have to talk about people like us who are, in the field and the general public. Because I know tons of comedians who I think are famous. Then I'll mention them to my wife or other people who are not really in the comedy field. They never heard of these people. Let's not mention names here, but there are plenty of people who I think are famous and they're not.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of comedians in that group that you would think listen. I think Mike Vecchione is a terrific comedian. I think he's very funny. I think Greg Rogel is brilliant, maybe one of the best comics in Manhattan. But if you ask the average person who they are, they have no idea.
But the thing with Mike Vecchione is that he's been on the Tonight Show several times. So he may be more famous than you think of. In other words, people in the middle of nowhere in America, I think they do know the name Mike Vecchione. Or at least they're familiar with his face. They've seen him on the Tonight Show multiple times.
Maybe. Remember, when we were growing up, in the prehistoric ages, Neil, there were 3 networks: ABC, NBC, CBS. So if you wanted to watch TV, you had to watch one of these 3 networks, and a comedian would really stand out, because if he did the Tonight Show, it was huge, because there was only one late night TV show like that. Now you've got 6 or 7 late night TV shows. You got Byron Allen's show at 3:00 in the morning, Comics Unleashed. You got a million stand-up comedy shows. You got specials. You got Netflix. You got HBO, Showtime, streaming networks, Amazon Prime, Dry Bar. I mean, people can do. There's no way to know every really good comedian out there. So
you can generalize that to entertainment in general. I've watched TV shows that none of my friends have ever heard of. I'm sure you all have, right? Streaming. You mentioned the show. Well, what the hell is that?
Yeah, I mean, I just really think that the Friars is a great brand. I agree with you. I think they should really think about going national. I think that, definite markets that I think would be great. Well, they did have a Friars Club in Beverly Hills.
Yes.
And that was a whole mess. There was some guy actually ran it like a private business, I think. The Friars, I think, licensed the name to him, and then it became a boondoggle, I think it wound up going out of business and everything. But, they've really been mired in a lot of problems and litigation and dishonest people at the top that kind of screwed them over. And, they've got a good leadership now. I think Marvin Scott is terrific. He really has his heart on it. He really wants to make the place work. And he's got great intentions. I just pray and hope that it's not too late, that they haven't fallen just too deep in a hole. But I think things like what you're talking about, expanding the brand, but I think in Florida, the Friars Club would do great.
Absolutely.
What
an audience for the Friars Club down here, for sure, right?
Right. I mean, and what you could do is, find a place down here that the brand could be leveraged. You know, my
Yeah.
guess would be somewhere like in Boynton Beach or Delray, and just create a, you know, it could be within an existing restaurant, you know, and just brand it as a Friar, you know, Friar South, you know.
So Al, if you had your way, you would just make the entire 5-6 story building a food complex, a restaurant, food court, and get rid of comedy altogether. Is that your idea?
Well,
Who needs the comedy?
no, listen, I think that, listen, being successful in business, it takes two things, you know, increasing revenue, decreasing expenses. That's as simple as that. So you have to look at the place and say, what ways can I increase revenue? Certainly opening a restaurant with that iconic name would be great. Now, I also know that at one time they had difficulties. I don't know if they still have that, if it's been renegotiated, but they had a very onerous union contract, and the union didn't want to work certain nights, and it was very unprofitable for them to operate the restaurant. You know, they had a very famous shore dinner on Friday nights, but certainly if they could come to some kind of way to open up that restaurant finally, or even have a great restaurateur open the restaurant with the name The Friars on it, and possibly that's the way to get around that contract. I don't know, but they really need to get that thing open already. I don't know what the delay is, but you know, if you have Friday and Saturday at least a restaurant operating, and you have a, you know, let's say the restaurant closes by 9, 10 o'clock, you can have another showroom there with a stand-up, an actual stand-up comedy show on Fridays and Saturdays. I mean,
well, if they have a Friar's restaurant, maybe they should just serve fried chicken and fries.
boom.
See, Grant, I told you we need like a rim shot side effect once in a while.
You look a
I'll
little
put it
tired.
in post.
Neil,
We'll do that in post. Okay.
you look a little tired. Are you okay today?
I'm sorry?
You look a little tired.
I am tired. I spent 18 hours in New York, and I flew in like, Tuesday afternoon, and very early Wednesday morning, I flew out. And then I have some other responsibilities. I don't know if people know that I'm a medical doctor from Monday to Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 1:15 p.m. So I have some other responsibilities in life, I guess. I don't know. A little tired. But anyway, this has been the Friars Club podcast, folks. Hope you liked it. What else is going on?
Soccer. Anybody sick of soccer already? What's the deal with the soccer?
Every 4 years, we have to pretend we understand it, like it, and care about it. Okay. Remember Kyle Rote Jr.? This guy in the Giants, Kyle Rote, his son was a soccer player, and they gave him a ton of money like 20, 30 years ago to like make soccer big in the United States. Every 10 or 20 years, they try to make soccer acceptable to Americans, and Americans have no interest in soccer after their kids are 6 years old, because every kid in America has to play soccer, right? From like age 4 to 6 or 7, my kids did. And then after that, that's the end of soccer. They go on to Little League, and that's it.
Well, Grant, anybody calling in today? Do we have any guests on the line? We always like to do a little free form here, but any good guests that maybe have called in?
Yeah, I think due to this overwhelming popularity of the podcast, that we have a lot of middling comedians that wanted to come in and maybe pitch us some ideas. So I've got a guy on now. I think his name is it's Bill something.
That's Sebastian. It's me, Maniscalco.
Sorry, Sebastian. What was it last name?
Maniscalco?
Oh, there it is. Yeah, Maniscalco, something like that.
Wow, Sebastian Maniscalco.
Holy shit.
Fellas, what a pleasure it is, first of all, to be on the Stand Up Dollar podcast. My father, my Italian immigrant father, loves this show. Okay? Especially
3 and 54. Listener.
Especially you, Al. My dad is like, Sebastian, can you get me Al Martin's autograph? And I'm like, Dad, I can't make any promises, but I'll see what I can do. Okay? Al's a busy guy. He's raising profits and lowering expenditures. Okay? I'm telling him. My father doesn't understand. Okay? I said Al Martin, he's like a business genius guy. But anyways, look, folks, I got a plug. I got a gig to plug. Okay?
What are you plugging on our show?
Well, have you guys heard about this Brittany Griner who got released yesterday? God bless her. God bless her. Okay. She was incarcerated over there in Russia with the hats in the snow. Okay. But they made like a deal. Have you heard about this? The deal?
So the news, it was in the news. Yeah.
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 They release Brittany and they're letting go this guy. They call him, he's like some sort of like a salesman of weapons or something. They call him the Merchant of Death. So get this. They hire little old Sebastian to perform at the Merchant of Death's coming home party. Yeah. So I'm flying to Russia. I mean, if my father knew that I was performing for growing up, he would always tell me, he would always say, Sebastian, stay away from Merchants of Death, okay? And I would say, yeah, Dad, you got it. But then I would sneak out at 4 a.m. and I would go hang out. We would go to the bleachers and drink a couple beers with the Merchants of Death, okay? And now here I am. And he also said, stay away from Russian people. But I'm going to be Russian people. So, but you know what? You know what, guys? One of my big goals out there is to promote the Stand Up Dollar podcast to the Russian people.
Now, would former President of Trump have done this any differently than Biden did?
Well, look, folks, let me tell you something. I wouldn't have let that guy go because he's a bad guy, and it's terrible what they're doing. And I call it the Benadryl administration, right? It's such a disgrace, right? It's such a disgrace. Frankly, they're treating me worse. They're treating me worse than they treated the Merchant of Death. And really, I was a merchant of life, if you want to know the truth, okay? If you look at what we did with the trade deals and the peace in the Middle East, right? Peace in the Middle East. It was so good. And now it's not so good anymore, okay? Believe me.
Any truth that we offered them Kanye West or Ye? And they rejected it?
Well, you know, I had a tremendous relationship, as you know, with Kanye or Ye, right? We call him Ye now, but not so good anymore, right? He sort of went off on the Jewish people, and I had to fire him as my best African-American friend. It pained me to do it, but you got to do what you got to do, right?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Well, good luck on the gig, Sebastian. Maybe you could get a little practice by going over to Brighton Beach in Brooklyn. There's plenty of Russians over there, plenty of babushkas.
Right. And they tell me that they play volleyball in their tighty whities. These guys in their 70s, they're out there playing volleyball in tighty whities. Very interesting. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they're undercover in the snow with their tidy whities.
Yeah, they're still out there. They're shoveling out their car that they double parked.
Well, I'll tell you, Al, it's amazing how when you get up to 47 people, 49 people, the reach of this show where you can get a Sebastian Maniscalco to call in. We didn't contact him. He contacted us.
Well, yeah, that's what happens. I mean, you get that kind of reach of 50. I think when we get over 50 plus, maybe we can find a homeless person and make them the 51st person. We might get some bigger people. Grant, anybody else calling in?
Yeah, I think again, people are calling us now. You know, they're reaching out to us, and we've definitely got someone calling in. I had to approve the call because it was coming from some type of institution. But 1 second, I'm patching him through right now. Hi, who is this?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, this was a collect call. I am calling from the penitentiary. This is Cat Williams, ladies and gentlemen.
Cat Williams. Oh my
I just want to wish the Stand Up Taller a very Merry Christmas, okay?
Wow.
Definitely
Two
not
in a
an
row.
actors club.
You know, a lot of people ask me, Cat, what is it like to be incarcerated on Christmas? I say it's extra wonderful. You got extra servings of breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's wonderful. I'm actually also recording this is the world record. I'm recording the very first Netflix special inside of a holding cell.
Well, listen, one of Johnny Cash's great songs was from Folsom Prison, right? I mean,
Exactly. He was my greatest inspiration, actually, Al.
I thought Cash was your biggest inspiration. Oh, you mean Johnny Cash? Okay.
Yeah, that would be a great on tour. Cat Williams and Johnny Cash. What kind of audience would that get?
Johnny Cash and Cat Trash.
Ho, 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 ladies and gentlemen. Pimping, pimping, pimping around the whole world.
Ho, ho, ho. You saying hello to your 3 ex-girlfriends?
Oh, they're not my ex-girlfriends. They just work for me out on the street. That's
what
why
I
I'm in here, actually.
That's what I meant.
Tis the mother freaking season.
So, Kat, are you promoting any particular gig of yours? Any big gigs coming up?
Oh, well, yes. I actually, in addition to my Netflix special, I'm scheduled to be released in 2 months, and I will be performing at a toddler's birthday party. This little girl, her mother hired me. She said, Kat, can you perform for my child Letitia's 2nd birthday party? And I said, you got a deal. Oh, my Santa hat fell off. Excuse me.
Well, I guess for that gig, you'll have to keep the motherfucking language in check, correct?
I mean, you know, they said try to keep it, you know, PC. But if not, it's okay. You can let a couple F-bombs slide. She said it ain't nothing she hadn't heard before. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's right.
It's in your wheelhouse then. Excellent.
Yeah, something like that.
All right. Well, you're welcome to call anytime. When we get up to 100 listeners, though, I think some bigger comedians may be calling in. We might have to bump you, but we'll try to get you in. Okay.
Ain't nobody bigger than Cat.
All right, great. Awesome.
Have you woken
I can't
up?
believe our good fortune. I just can't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
Have you woken up with that interview, Neil? I mean, that was pretty incredible. Cat Williams and Sebastian.
Well, the best is yet to come. I mean, we're looking up. What are we doing to get our demographics up anyway? Is it just our personalities, our looks? It can't be the content.
Don't
Gotta
talk.
be something else.
I go back.
Excuse me, I'm actually a really, really big fan of the show.
Oh, really?
Like it's an obsession. Like, you know how people were with Game of Thrones? That's how I am with the Stand Up Taller podcast. This is my Game of Thrones. I'm in a text group about it. Me and my friends, we text each other. You allowed
Really?
to have a phone in here now. We say, well, what did you think of Neil's joke this week about the Friars Club? I said, I was dying laughing. If anything, it was the only motivation I had to get out of this hellish existence in here, which, by the way, is also, I mean, but
Oh, listen, why should Neil be the only one dying with stand up? You know, I mean,
Well, I'll tell you, I'm glad to hear dying with laughing as opposed to what the Friars members do, just dying, period.
yeah.
When they hear my stuff.
And shout out to Grant. I say Grant is so underrated. That's the man behind the scenes. He's the man. The whole operation is up because of that man right there.
Thank you.
Oh,
Kat.
yeah.
It's an honor.
We don't deny that, and we might even stop withholding his pay.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well,
that was a great guest there. I mean, Kat, any upcoming appearances? Any cell blocks you'll be working?
They're gonna take my mugshot. You know, they had to retake my mugshot because I didn't like it. I said, y'all need to take another. You can't put that out on the internet on TMZ. So we doing that. And I'm, you know, and other than that, no, just about the taping of my wonderful, luxurious special, and of course, the toddler show.
well, to promote your stuff, Kat, I have a connection at a very big club. It's called Caroline's. I might be able to get you in there to New York City.
Neil, I have some bad news. My agent called me and said Caroline's is I hate to say it, they closing down, Neil.
They closed
Yep.
it down?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Neil, I'm swallowing my own hair. That's
Yeah.
how sad I was when I
Sad.
made the statement. I actually ate my own hair. That's
Well, it's pretty sad about Caroline. It's pretty sad about Caroline's. It was an institution, unlike your institution that you're in right now.
true.
Or your institution between 10:15 and 1:15.
Yeah. I can't deny that. Yeah, we didn't tell them that psychiatry was a specialty, but you've let the word out now. Okay. Yeah.
Well,
Too bad about Caroline's, though, right?
this has been, I'll tell you, so far, this has been a great show. I mean, we're coming up towards the end of it, but
Al, one little piece of advice, Al. Excuse me, Mr. Martin. At that holiday party, I would charge the men and let the ladies in free. Because what happens is when the men see that it's ladies in free, they will all show up for the ladies.
you know what? That's a brilliant marketing scheme.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Well,
Yeah.
Neil, anything else on this week's agenda as we get ready to call it an episode?
Well, no, I think this has been a wrap up of the entire comedy world, the entire business model world. We've had two of the top comedians in the world on the show. What more can we ask for?
Very informative. I've been taking notes. I'm trying to open up a few businesses too.
Very good. Very good. Well, for a fifth show, I mean, it can't beat having Sebastian and Kat on the show. What more can I say? We're out of here.
Grant, anything on your end?
Nope, it's been a good one. I got to cancel this call with Kat because we are paying for it. But
So for Cat Williams and Sebastian and Grant Moore and Neil Berliner, ex-President Trump, Griner, the Russian arms dealer, myself, Al Martin.
Unbelievable. What a great show.
Yes, for the entire membership, alive and dead, of the Friars Club, been the Stand Up Taller podcast. See you soon.